A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
An empty plastic bottle would give you 50 cents. A soda can, 60 cents. A used food container, 80. Wondering why I know this? Because that's my job. I am a trash picker at my school.
Harry, the trash prince is on a roll today. And how was your trashy affair with Bella coming? She lets you kiss her with that stink?
Their words don't bother me. They don't know why I do what I do. And my secret. I edge close to my class when I hear Bella and her friend talking.
You can't be serious, Bella. You want me to break up with him for you?
I would do it myself if his poverty didn't give me the creeps.
You are unbelievable.
I come face to face with Bella's friend. She knew I heard the conversation and couldn't meet my eyes. She hands me the new phone I bought for Bella and walks away. I saved for months to buy her this phone. I walk down the empty corridor with a heavy heart, pick the phone out of the box, slip my SIM in, and switch it on. When... Harry Parker, you have passed the poverty test? You are now the heir to Parker family's billions worth of assets?
If Harry is a billionaire, why does he work as a trash picker? What is his big secret? Why did he not reveal his billionaire status to Bella? To know more, listen to the audio series Destiny Reloaded, only on Pocket FM.
Presentation.
Welcome in. I hope everything's working today. It sure looks like it is. It sure looks like it's going to be a lovely day here. On turn 200, the Mission R Challenge Top Split Strength of Field broadcast back proper now after 2 races of tape delay. Yes. Welcome back in. Welcome for the first time here on Turn 200 to a newer circuit here on iRacing. It's Autodromo Internacional do Algarve, more affectionately known as Portimao. Portimao on Turn 200 for the first time here today for week number 2 of the Mission R Challenge Top Split Strength of Field. Welcome back to everybody. My name is Tommy Cook, and we've got the GOAT back. Mr. Matt Williamson is back of the house here today. It's been a little bit with the off week included. But we're back here on a Sunday afternoon, and things are going great.
Yeah, it's excited to be back here for the Porsche Mission R Challenge. Things have kept me away for a couple more weeks than Tommy, although we were both gone during the NASCAR weekend at Gateway. But good to be back. This is my first experience here at Algarve, so I'm very excited for this as well. Get to be back and also get to be on a new track here today. Should be exciting stuff.
Absolutely. This is a track that J.J. Wang has called the most difficult that he's ever experienced in this car. This is a 2-time Formula One Grand Prix host back during the pandemic. Yes, some elevation changes. Some of these corners are fast and sweeping, and some of them are very tight indeed, especially for a big, heavy car like this. So those are the 2 things that this car does not really like, or rather these tires on this car do not really like. So if JJ Wang says it's hard, I think it's hard. But we will see how the rest of the drivers are feeling here ahead of 20 minutes today. Hello to anybody out there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in the world. We're glad that you're here with us here on Turn 200, back doing some live coverage of the Mission Art Challenge. Season number 3 of 2024 already. Hard to believe that at the end of this season, we'll be doing the Mission Art Challenge for a year at this point. So cool stuff. Wrapping up qualifying right now. We've got 16 drivers after the Thursday top split did not go official. Good to see 16 people out here and giving it a shot today. Still drivers out on track. I think most qualifying laps have wrapped up. But any track time you could get with this car on this track is going to be useful here today, as qualifying has now concluded, and it should not be a surprise who the top 2 drivers are on the starting grid here. It is Hunter Engrav, looking for a 4th win in his 6th start here on a Sunday top split. JJ Wang, the 3-time defending series champion, finished runner-up to Hunter Engrav last week at Laguna Seca. That race has been uploaded, by the way, if you want to go back and watch that. Casey Knight had a decent run last week as well. Casey will start in 3rd next to Raul DeMulder, who had a top 10 at Laguna Seca as well. Georgie Trebsick and Ian Lane will make up row number 3. James Watson and Laura Hill on the 4th row. Ellis Spice and Amy Grimmie will round out your top 10 starters. It's Sean Bowman and Rebecca Davin 11th and 12th. Scott Alspaugh starting 13th, and Chris Sotelo, the last driver to post a time in P14. Riley Downey and Marcelo Mazzera are the 16 drivers that are here today to give it a crack at Portimao. What are our track conditions here, man?
Taking a look at the track conditions, pretty warm here. 112 degrees on the track temperature. A little bit of wind here as well. Gusts up to about 10, 11 miles an hour. So going to want to look at that. And we got a 20-minute time race here for you, as always. And the track temperature is continuing to rise a little bit here, now up to 113. So going to be pretty warm track conditions for the drivers. Gonna have to watch out for that as we get rolling here.
Green flag is waving. We're underway here at Portimao. 2.9 miles, 15 turns is what lay ahead of these drivers. And it's the big dash into turn number 1. Off the standing start, it's Engrav with the lead on that sweeping right-hand turn, as Scott Alspaugh has gone for a spin in the first corner.
Oh, contact!
Oh,
There's
contact!
one.
That goes.
That's Casey Knight around.
Casey Knight and Ellis Spice also dropping multiple positions there in turn number 2. I think contact with Georgie Trebsick. We'll have to go take a look at that here momentarily. But Engrav and Wang have gotten away nicely from the rest of the field. Already a second back to DeMulder in 3rd.
Rebecca Davin battling with James Watson. Ellis Spice right here with them as well. Watson went wide through that left-hand corner, allowed 2 to get through, and now under fire from Amy Grimmie. Watson trying to get his bearings here.
Engrav and Wang, 2 very different lines here on the back half of the lap. Through some of these turns, but it is Engrav still with the race lead. DeMulder and Trebsick battling for a podium spot here.
Lots of new liveries since the last time I was able to broadcast, so I'm learning some of these new liveries here, but it's good to see. Good to see some new ones out there on the track.
Back down the pit straight we go. Engrav leads the opening lap as we head down back the little valley there to Premiera in turn number 1. And the lake turn in turn 3. Here's a launch for 3rd. Trebsick underneath of DeMulder.
Trying to hang around the outside. You see the car sliding a little bit there for Trebsick.
DeMulder has the spot now, headed back into Torrey Vip in turn number 5. This little left-hand bend here into turn number 6. And DeMolder is back away.
There's a long group of drivers all kind of stacked up here. Looked like Trepsic. Couple of tires into the gravel there. Ian Lane starting to close in. There's a lot of tight corners here, but with it being an F1 track, it's very wide. I mean, there's lots of space to maneuver. Just
Certainly.
lots of really awkward... Oh, no!
Whoa, that's a spin. That's Rebecca Davin off. And one more spinning, Amy Grimmy.
Grimmy trying to get turned back around. Gonna have to go into the grass. I'm assuming there was some sort of contact there, but I didn't quite tell who it was.
Engrav purple lap at the line. Things are continuing to space out here, even for Ian Lane, who was trying to catch up to Georgie in 4th. So we may have an opportunity to take a look at a couple replays here.
Go ahead and go to that first lap. This is at the second turn. That's the first turn we just saw. And this is going to be Casey Knight, and it was Georgie Trepsic trying to dive to the inside. And Knight ends up getting hit in the right rear and turned around. And let's take a look at this incident with Davin and then Grimmy involved as well.
I think the other car involved there was Laura Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, Hill did get hit. Actually, Davin is the one that hit Hill. Davin trying to get hard on the brakes, ends up looping it around, and then trying to get rolling back on the track, clips Grimmy there towards the end.
Speaking of Laura Hill, Laura just got past Ella Spice. That's to move up into 6th. So Spice back to 7th. 2-second advantage right now for Hunter Engrav at the front of the field. Wang into Mulder still on your podium. And Roll has a 1-second advantage over Georgie Trepsic back and forth. And Elaine has fallen a 1.5 seconds behind Trepsic here, running in the 5th position.
Going to go ahead and throw the track map up there for anybody not very familiar here with Algarve.
I say bring the Portuguese Grand Prix back. There's no reason not to run it again, even though they kind of had to put it on the schedule in a panic.
Hill got way off through turn number 1. Lots of room out there, so didn't get in the gravel trap at all, but way wide through turn 1. Ella Spice is able to get back through.
And with this being a Formula 1 track, anytime that you get off track enough to basically where your tires are touching the paint, you will get a SimForce slowdown penalty. We've seen it multiple times already, including there with Hill. I think Hill was going to lose that spot regardless, having to run that wide, but it certainly did not help matters at all. 6.5 minutes in here. Engrav has piped in 3 purple laps in a row. Wang has piped in 3 personal best laps in a row. So they're both still speeding up, but Engrav going faster, at least for now.
Here's Casey Knight. Knight was back in 12th, just made a pass for 11th, and now a pass for 10th, a 2-for-1 there.
Ooh.
Knight, of course, went around early, trying to work back through the field here.
Casey trying to get another podium here today, unless things really start to go awry for a lot of other people. It doesn't look like it's in the cards. Rebecca Davin has just gotten past Laura Hill to move up to 7th.
James Watson
So Hill
right
back
here.
to 8th.
Yeah, Watson right here in tow as well. I think that may have been another mistake from Hill. There's a pretty good gap there, and it closed pretty quickly. And now Watson trying to use the draft down the long straight. That downhill right before turn one feels really awkward, I'm sure, as a driver. Kind of messes with your braking zone a little bit there as well.
And not only with what JJ talked about with this car, just not generally being a fit for this track, there aren't a lot of braking markers around this circuit, especially ones that are easily in view anyway. You kind of have to make your own.
Problems.
Somebody's off. That's DeMolder.
Yeah, Trepsic and DeMolder got together, I think, here. Because both of them lost a lot of time there on J.J. Wang, and we, of course, saw DeMolder off track.
I think DeMolder spun, and Trepsic had to come to a complete stop, not to run into Roll. But the 9 car back from third now to fifth. So move Trepsic onto the podium, and now that has allowed Ian Lane to close right back in. So we've got a 4-car scrap all of a sudden for this bronze medal position.
And Lane has been moving forward all afternoon here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Lane take a crack at a podium position here rather quickly. Has had a lot of speed. You can see on the track map just how far out front Hunter Engrav and J.J. Wang are. They are basically the entire straightaway ahead of everybody else.
Almost 12 and a half seconds between Trepsic and Wang. And Wang losing a few tenths every lap, so he is nearly 3 seconds behind Hunter Engrav as Trepsic goes out wide. Lucky not to get a slowdown penalty there. And hangs on to third. He will get a 1X, though. If you do that enough, we're going to be losing some safety rating.
I lost about 0.6 safety rating this week.
I gained some, despite driving like a total buffoon. Here we go. Here's Lane. On the inside here for this bend. On the outside for the right-hander, but it's a sweeper, so it should be no problem. Trepsic going to send it back. Oh!
Trepsic goes
Big
around.
shunt. Trepsic around. That will allow DeMolder, Spice, Hill, and Watson all to get through.
Yeah, that's actually Davin that's getting through. Watson and Knight still behind, but not too far. Wow, Trepsic has just been all over the joint here at Algarve.
Yeah, poor fella. Well, that puts Ian Lane up onto the podium now. And he's got some distance, a little bit anyway, back to DeMolder, who, if he didn't have damage before, I think he's got damage now.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and take a look at a couple of these incidents, although DeMolder is closing in rather quickly here, trying to use that draft down into turn one.
Yeah, talk about a great straight for closing up here with this toe that the PMR provides. And DeMolder has cut that to just a couple car lengths here. Heading into the first few corners, we are across the halfway mark of the race, 8.5 minutes to go. As we head into turn number 5. And J.J. Wang, just want to point out, he is closed in on Hunter Engrav, but still 2 seconds to go. Go ahead.
Getting back on the throttle around these tight corners is so treacherous. We're on board here with Roll DeMolder, and you can hear when he's trying to get on the gas, you can hear the tires not liking it, and then you can see the wheel input as well. Some twitches, trying to make sure that it doesn't spin around.
620 horsepower, dual drive motors, one for each axle in this car. But the front tires will slide on throttle. And with corners like this, like you said, that's no bueno.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the replay here. This is going to be DeMolder and Trepsic. DeMolder just gets into that corner with a little bit too much speed, and you're right, Trepsic just had to come to almost a complete stop to not run into DeMolder there. And then here's the other incident for Georgie Trepsic. This is contact with Lane. And he got into that corner maybe a little bit more than he was wanting to. Had to slow down big time to try and make the apex, but made contact there with Ian Lane.
And Trepsic has lost another position, this time to Casey Knight. So move Casey back up to 8th, Trepsic back to 9th. And DeMolder still hanging right behind Ian Lane here, trying to get back onto the podium. Just over 6 minutes to go. Wang is better in the middle portion of the track, the middle sector, if you will. And Grav and Wang about even through the first sector. We'll see if Wang can continue to close in here and get inside of 2 seconds. Maybe about a second behind, he could start to get a slipstream. Yeah, Wang's slower in Sector 3 compared to Grav. And the lap time reflects that as well. Just a hundredth slower for Wang, which is not much.
And JJ got off there through turn 1 a little bit as well. But lost a couple more tenths.
I think maybe for only the 3rd time in history here, with our time in the Mission R Challenge, we've got a disqualification. Unfortunately, Amy Grimmy, tough race for Amy, going to be out of this one.
Casey Knight still trying to move forward. Up to 8th, is looking towards Rebecca Davin. Just a couple car lengths in front here. And if Knight can make this pass rather quickly, has a couple more not too far in front, Knight might be able to get up to a top 5 position here.
I'm sure Casey's still going to be bummed out, though. Starting from the podium positions, quickly dispatched of, but yes, doing a nice job on the way back up through the field here. DeMolder just had a crack at Ian Lane, didn't stick, but Lane going to have to be on defense here in the closing laps.
DeMolder does a really good job of, I mean, they're just attacking these corners really differently. There's a lot of these corners that DeMolder is backing up early and trying to get a really good drive off, whereas Ian Lane is kind of pushing it into the corner and not getting as good of a drive off in some of them. So different approaches here to the racetrack, but very similar lap times.
And Grav continuing to pick up the pace here, should have 2 laps to go. His lead is back out over 2 seconds over J.J. Wang, who is doing his best to try and reel him in and make a race for the win.
Oh, here it is. Wow.
Whoa, boy.
DeMolder, I kind of had to back off of it not to run into the back of Ian Lane, but if he didn't have to, I think would have made that pass. I think it was a bit of a mistake there from the 5 of Lane.
Lane a bit wide. DeMolder closing.
Oh, wow.
Big swing to the inside here. DeMolder can't find the room underneath. Big run for Royale. And it will still be 2 laps to go. And Grav for the race leader anyway.
And the gap between Hunter and JJ is almost exactly as it was about 5 minutes ago. Still right at that 2.3, 2.4 second mark. Really hasn't changed much from there in the better part of 3 or 4 laps.
Lane got good drive out of turn number 15, but DeMulder has the slipstream here. Might have been just good enough to fend off Roel into the first turn, but DeMulder continuing to close in here as we head to Lagos. Well, Spice may have his hands full here in the closing laps with Laura Hill and Casey Knight fast approaching.
Casey had gotten right to the bumper of Hill for about half a lap, and I think Hill has just kind of picked up the pace a little bit.
Sean Bowman and Marcelo Mazzara battling hard for 11th here as well.
And there's a couple of these corners that DeMulder just gets way better runs, but really can't do a whole lot with them. Oh, and then really loose there out of that corner.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more loose snaps like that throughout this race.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Actually, most of our incidents have been on corner entry, really none on corner exit, but exits seem to be really difficult here.
Hunter and Grav across the stripe. White flag is out. Wang closing, but still outside of 2 seconds. And Grav just needs to take it easy here on the final lap, and he will have another victory bagged. Currently the points leader after only 1 week. And Lane has opened up a big gap here all of a sudden back to Roel DeMulder.
And across start, finish, Spice, Hill, and Knight, all nose to tail. They'll be fighting for the top 5.
Personal best first sector for Ian Lane. Trying to hang on to third.
Hill with a big run, looks to the inside here. Spice let her go. Both of them wide. Oh, and then Casey Knight has a problem as well. Well, all of them sent it way too hard into that corner, and all of them paid the price, but no change for position out of it. I think Spice knew that Hill was going to overshoot it, so just let her go up the inside.
Heading into the final couple of turns, J.J. Wang had closed up to a 2.5, but not close enough to catch up to Hunter Engrav. Engrav a dominant victory here at Algarve. Hunter Engrav takes Portimao. J.J. Wang in second. It will be more than likely Ian Lane here in third with just a corner to go. And the fifth-ranked driver in the lobby will take a podium here for the first time with the Sunday Top Split and the Mission R Challenge. DeMulder, a nice race today, will take home a P4. Ellis Spice, Laura Hill going to duke it out to the line, and Ellis Spice will hang on. 8/100ths of a second. The rest of the field will trickle across the line here, but it's back-to-back race victories for Hunter Engrav at the front of this field.
We're waiting on one more to finish here, and that is Chris Sotelo.
Bring it home, Chris.
Looks like Chris may have had a little contact with somebody or something at some point here in this 20 minutes.
We had a couple drivers that were flirting with disqualification here as well. Trepsick and Davin in particular were one contact away from getting the boot. Riley Downey was one off track away from getting the boot. So that could have been bad for them, but luckily they have survived. And we will give you the full finishing rundown here as we wait for our podium finishers to trickle into the waiting room. It's Engrab with the win, Wang in second, and Lane in third. Rhodes and Mulder, a nice race today in fourth. Ella Spice in fifth. Laura Hill in sixth. Casey Knight, a good recovery for P7. Eighth place for Georgie Trepsick. Ninth for Rebecca Davin. And Marcella Mazzera in 10th. James Watson in 11th. Sean Bowman had a spin there late in the going. He drops down to 12th. Riley Downey in 13th. Scott Allspaw in 14th. Chris Sotelo in 15th. And a disqualification, unfortunately, today. Rough day for Amy Grimmy. Will finish in the 16th and final position. So, don't think Ian Lane is in the Discord. If he pops in here, we'll pull him in. But we'll pull in your second place finisher first. It's good to talk to JJ Wang. Congrats on a runner-up finish last week and also here today.
Yeah, hi. Hate to say that, finishing high up isn't good, but I hope I had a little bit more for Hunter this season, and it looks like I gotta dig a little bit deeper just to try to see if I could find a bit more advantage. Hunter's just, we all know from all of the leagues that we broadcast from the Turn 200 family, he's pretty much quick in anything. He can drive a cockroach on wheels. So, yeah, it's been it's been humbling to say the least.
Well, it seemed like this car track combo today you thought was going to be challenging. Was it as challenging as you thought it was going to be, and how do you think you performed in comparison to that?
Yeah, it definitely was. It's just I said in the paddock, this track is this car's worst nightmare, and I still stand by it after that. It's just this car just kind of throws a tantrum anytime you try to ask it to carry just any sort of appropriate speed in any of the sweepers. I thought that Rutskogen would be this car's worst nightmare, but no, it's actually this one. It's just because the sweeping corners and the elevation changes are just at the crest of really fast corners, and the car just doesn't know what to do with itself in those corners. So I think you might have saw it on the broadcast. Me and Hunter were definitely hanging on. I saw him kick the rear out. I definitely kicked the rear out too, and that just destroys tires. And there's never really any opportunities to cool them back down around this track.
Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, congrats on a second place here, JJ. Yeah, it was definitely seemed like a very difficult car track combo, I know. But behind you and Hunter, people that were trying to battle while also racing the racetrack did not. It was tough sledding for pretty much everybody here. But you mentioned the Turn 200 family. I know on Wednesdays you were running the Ford GT. Is there anything about driving that boat that kind of translates to this car at all, or is this just a completely different beast?
No, it's completely different. But the Ford has a hard time with its front end bite, and in some respects, the PMR can have that kind of characteristic. So knowing to deal with that does help me when this car push. I know that's a lot of the grid's problem with this car is there's this really aggressive. Well, I shouldn't say aggressive. It's really sluggish on entry, pretty naturally. And then you kind of try to drive around that. So I dealt with that in the Ford. The Ford GT just has a lot of just a lack of downforce compared to the other GT3s, so you definitely feel that on entry. So for the most part, I enjoy difficult to drive combos. I tend to do better than I typically do in those types of cars. So yeah, perhaps maybe, but yeah, it's quite a bit different.
Well, good stuff for me here the first couple of weeks, and we'll be talking to you again more and more down the line here, I'm sure. The reigning champ, JJ Wang, shout-outs for you here today.
Yeah, big shout-out to Casey Knight, my teammate, who, has been trying hard, trying to find the pretty, trying to match my pace, trying to help me get up front with Hunter. Big shout-out to James Watson for continually supporting me in the series. I'm still an affiliate with them, so I'm still running under their banner. And you know what? Big shout out to Hunter and bringing out Kevin as well. It's definitely the best of the best in road racing, trying to just show up and trying to see how they stack up. So I say Hunter's kind of probably the favorite right now. We'll see in the next coming weeks, but I'll head off and shake my fist at him off camera.
Okay, well, the Apex Predator livery looks awfully good on that car, and we'll see it more and more up front as the season rolls along. So good job here today. We'll talk to you again soon.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
And we will now pull in Hunter and Grav once again here as a race winner with the Mission R Challenge for the first time this season. Congrats on your 2 wins to open up the season.
Thank you.
Well, I'm seeing the tire data roll in, and it is shocking to say the least. You had clean air in front of you that entire race, but JJ said that he was having some handling issues. It looked like you were having some handling issues. How was the car from your cockpit?
Very horrible. I don't know how to describe it. It was just tight, loose, tight. There was no good balance at all. After tires wore off, you had to try to stay away from the curbs. It would try to pull you off the track or miss your brake points. And probably towards the middle of the run, I was messing with the brake price, trying to find something to work. And I couldn't really find anything that 100% fit me that I liked at the beginning. So Jada was starting to catch me a little bit, and I got nervous. And I was starting to push it a little bit more, and I got a little nervous, and I almost made a few oopsies. But luckily, I didn't. And yeah, no, this was probably the most stressful one of them all.
It's stressful for the guy that was out in front the entire time, but it looked incredibly stressful for the people that didn't have the luxury of some clean air up front. So yeah, this was a tough one for sure. Matt, what do you got for the race winner?
Well, congrats on the race win here. This, I think, is maybe my first time getting to call a race for you in the Porsche Mission R. Maybe I got one other one the last season, but it seems like you're taking very well to the PMR here. But this one was pretty tough. Has this been your toughest test yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The tires were horrible in this one. I think my highest percentage was like 75, I think. So tires were very melted off, and JJ, he's getting faster every week. He's keeping up with me. I know he's been looking at some telemetry, trying to figure out where the time is gained and everything. So I think as the season moves on, it's going to get more interesting, especially with some tracks like Monza and all that you really can't pull away at all. So I think that's going to get a little interesting in some of them tracks. But this was definitely probably the hardest one for sure.
Well, let's get some shout-outs for you then.
My mom and my dad for always watching them. JJ for always inviting me, and he's giving me a money's worth. So shout out to him. You guys for always doing a phenomenal job broadcasting. And shout out to Kevin. He registered the race wrong, so he didn't get to do it, but he was there talking to me. So shout out to him as well.
Well, we'll hope to see Kevin here in the next week or so, and we'll hope to talk to you again here next week heading into Snetterton.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Oh, okay. Yep. I tried to move him. He already moved himself, and then I moved him back, I think. I don't really know. Anyway, Hunter and Grav back with another victory here. 2 for 2 to open up the season. I don't want to say there's a new sheriff in town, but it's certainly a strong start, and it is going to be interesting to see how JJ can answer in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting. I mean, after a couple of seasons of JJ getting the championship, I wouldn't necessarily say dominating, but because JJ definitely had lots of suitors, throughout the last couple of seasons. But there's definitely another carrot for JJ to try and chase here. So yeah, it should be really fun to watch here throughout the season. Looking forward to lots of different tracks and different types of tracks here this season. Not nearly as many rovals, so looking forward to that and everything else we got coming up. I don't think anybody was in the chat with us here, but we had quite a few people watching. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching here the return of the live broadcast on Sunday. Appreciate y'all checking it out.
Yeah, next Sunday will be the debut of Snetterton here on Turn 200, so looking forward to that. 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time here from the United States, wherever you are. Hopefully, we'll get some people back in the chat here next week. I know a few drivers that are usually chatting with us weren't in the grid today. So, looking forward to that. Got some good stuff here coming up this week as well. Tuesday evening, it is the Venom Truck Series from Rockingham. We get The Rock back on the channel on Tuesday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, it is the Max v CNC Home Designs Truck Series from Nashville Super Speedway. So we've got Rockingham, Nashville Super Speedway, and Snetterton up, as we got no Wednesday night action and no Monday night action yet either, but we will have things to do on Mondays and Wednesdays here very, very shortly. So going to be jam-packed here again on Turn 200. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already on your way out of the stream here tonight. And, we appreciate everybody coming to hang out with us and usher in live Sundays back after what feels like nearly a month off. Looking forward to seeing everybody back here very soon. But for everybody with the Mission Art community, for the GOAT, the one and only Mr. Matt Williamson, I'm Tommy Cook, saying until we meet again, so long from Portimao, where Hunter and Grav goes back-to-back to open up the Sunday Top Split season here with the Mission Art Challenge.
This has been a live broadcast on Turn 200. Be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of when we go live next. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.